Hey, today is November the 11th. It's Veterans Day. And it's a little surprise, but some 1 pound of Eisenia fetida worms that I ordered from Wilson's Worms on Monday arrived today on Wednesday, but I somehow thought that they might not actually make it through the Veterans Day mail. In any case, I've unpacked the worms. They were packed in. Let's see, I don't know if you can see this. A perforated box with inside a paper bag, and they came packaged in. They were nestled in this stapled bag. I've weighed them, and along with whatever bedding is in with them, the weight was just under 2 pounds. So now I'm going to introduce them to the bin that I made for them over the weekend. This bin is constructed of 1/2 inch birch plywood. It's been completely untreated with chemicals. I used a non-toxic Elmer's, that is wood glue, to hold the ends in place before the screws were nailed in. I'm sorry, before the screws were secured. And it's sitting inside a recycled cardboard banker's box. So the width is about 15 inches by about 14 inches by about 10 inches high. The bedding I constructed, or I mixed together out of shredded maple leaves that came from a neighbor's yard on Sunday. Again, they're shredded maple leaves. And to this I added in some sphagnum peat moss and some topsoil that had been amended with compost. And finally I put in some calcium carbonate in the form of crushed oyster shells and some rock dust. So and this has all been moistened and sitting for a few days so that it's come to equilibrium, and it's moist and should be a happy place for our worms to unload. So let's welcome them home and get them into their new home as quickly as we can. Uh-oh. Yeah, good job of securing this. I think that I'll just cut this open. I'm sure that they're stressed from their journey from Montana to here in Vermont. Okay, see some fellows moving. Looks like they're packed in I'm not sure what that, it might be peat. I'm not sure, but in any case, let's liberate them from this paper bag that they're in. Oops. Where's that topsoil? I just can't tell. In any case, whoops, here they are. You see them kind of, there they are. Handle them as gingerly as I can. Whatever they're wrapped in is really falling apart. I wonder if that's topsoil. I just can't tell. So, in any case, here they are. They're actually pretty responsive given the stress of their journey. Okay, I know, guys. if we can pull them apart just a little bit. See, they're actually really responsive. I'm a little shocked at how responsive they are to touch and to light. I received some worms yesterday from Bluebelly Farm and from Uncle Jim's Worm Farm. And these specimens seem to be more responsive than either of those two squirms of worms were. However, they seem to be about the same size as those from Bluebelly Farm. I think that the ones from, let me see the, okay, go down guys. From Uncle Jim's Worm Farm were bigger, but these are definitely more responsive to light and touch. So what I'm going to do is, see my little friends, I'm going to first of all turn down this light. And I'm going to mist them with some dechlorinated water. The bedding that they were shipped in was a touch dry. I could tell that it was moist before it was sent. See if my little wormy friends are, yeah, they're incredibly responsive to that as well. It's really amazing. I thought they'd be much more sluggish than they are. This water is filtered tap water that I'm spritzing them with here. That I let sit for a day or two without the lid on, so that any chlorine that's in the water can be evaporated out. You see our little guys? I'm going to hold off feeding them for at least a day to allow them to recover from the stress of being transported from their home in Montana out here to Vermont. So I'll put the lid on their bin here shortly. Here's the lid. Then I drilled some holes in for ventilation, and I'll take them downstairs into the basement where I have the other worms in their bins, similarly, in a room where our hot water heat is, so that it stays a rather constant temperature between 68 and 72-ish during the winter. So I feel very good that they're here with us now, and I'll take them downstairs and introduce them to their new home.